Hello, Joost.
Hello, man.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Live from the sunshiny Ibiza.
Yes,
Or is it Ibiza? Because I always hear people say Ibiza.
Mm, well, you can. There's multiple ways to pronounce it, but especially the English people are called Ibiza
Okay.
because well the Catalan way you write it EIV, so then the V becomes a B, so Ibiza.
Ah, okay.
That's
So
where
that,
it's coming
yeah,
from.
that's why I heard people say different things.
Yeah, well, in the
Uh,
Netherlands just say Ibiza.
yeah, Ibiza, gewoon, yeah, I like it. Because that's where you're originally from, right?
No, I'm Dutch born.
Yeah,
Dutch.
that's what I say. Yeah, you're originally from the Netherlands. Sorry.
Ah, okay, yeah, in that way. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
How
yeah.
old are you?
32 since
32.
2 weeks. Yeah, yeah.
Congrats.
Thank
How
you.
does it feel now that you've passed the 30?
It feels good. I think that the 30s are an interesting age. I mean, you know, when you do school, when you do studies, then you're just going into a certain flow where you think that you want to go, or maybe you have to go
Yeah.
to do something. And then when you become 30, then the questions start to rise like, why am I doing this? You know? Who am I? And this is really what I want to do. And I see this a lot with people around me.
Yeah.
Um,
Isn't that why a lot of people visit the island too? Like self leadership and those kind of things?
Definitely, there's
Yoga?
yeah, yeah. The contracts are really big here. You know, you can get off your face for multiple days and not see anything of the island. And there's a big community where it's all about expanding consciousness and living a more healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. It's funny that you mention that your 30s are different because I noticed the same thing, you know? It's not necessarily, well, yeah, it is the why question, but I think it's the most wonderful time until now of my life because you're grown up, everything's settled, you feel wiser than ever, you feel like you're starting to understand how the world works, you're self-sufficient. Um,
Hopefully,
yeah, yeah, well, in most cases, hopefully, yeah. But in
yeah,
my case, that's the way how it feels, and your body is still young. You feel like a teenager.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know if that feeling ever will go. By the way, that you're still feeling a teenager. I
yeah,
know
that's what
40
I
and
think as well.
50-year-old people say, I still feel 25, but
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that in the mind you still stay that 18-year-old kid with all the ambitions and all the things that he has, but your body just ages. Um, and of course you become wiser and you learn along the way. But I think the 30s are an interesting age.
yeah, definitely. How old are you now?
30. I become 31 in September, so 2
All right,
months.
all right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting age.
Nice. But
So
you also made it shift, right? I mean, you
yeah,
started from as a DJ and this is what I want to do, and then a few years ago
yeah.
you changed because you found out that you didn't want it actually.
Yeah, I did, and I found out the hard way. But I think that people, what 30s brings you, I guess, is that you find out that what you've been doing in your 20s might not have been the thing that you actually want to do. Like you've been doing it because the world told you it was supposed to go like
Yeah,
that.
right. Yeah,
And right now you feel like you're able to make the decisions yourself or something. That's how I see it.
yeah. I think it's good to know what you don't want.
Exactly. And it's also good to know what you do want.
Yeah.
So tell the audience maybe a brief introduction because they might have never heard from you. It's actually funny how our paths have crossed because we never met.
No.
I've never heard of you before until 1 week ago.
Yeah,
Uh,
likewise.
and I think it was a client of mine or a fan. No, it was a fan of mine who sent me a message on Instagram saying like, "Hey, this is a guy who's interesting, and you're doing these talks. You guys should have a conversation together."
Yeah.
And then we had a
Victor.
yeah,
I always call him Victor Tagliatello, but I don't. That's not that's not the right pronunciation. But it's a son of a Czech friend of mine.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to see how those things go. You know, I like how those things organically grow. And last week we had a call and we noticed that there were some similar,
Definitely.
yeah, so some similarities in our lives. So I like your story. I like what you're doing. So, what's
Thank
a brief introduction for the audience that might have never heard of you?
Well, my name is Joost Toast, or people know me as Joost Toast. Facebook
Is
made
that
me.
really your name, or is it?
No, no, it's not.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's Joost Veerman. But there's just still a few people who know me like this from my hometown. I was born in Harderwijk. Was there till my 21st, 22nd, and then I moved to Amsterdam.
That's where Afrojack is from as well, right? How do I?
No.
Was he somewhere else? Ah, never mind.
He's from Schiedam, around some area, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, Facebook made me Joost Toast, and now everybody knows me as Joost Toast. So to go easy, my name is Joost Toast, and I'm the founder of Ibiza Loves Ears, which is a consciousness campaign where we raise awareness about the risk of loud music in this case, where we give information, education, and where we involve the industry as well, as in we have quite a big range of ambassadors, which is ever growing, because I started this with the idea that it's important to raise awareness about this problem. I have tinnitus for 17 years. I've been an artist manager for a good 7 years. I had the pleasure to work with Tom Hates, Frank Pitta, and Enrico Sangiuliano.
Yeah.
And I moved to Ibiza, and I found that there was nobody doing anything with hearing protection. So I was like, I want to bring a solution to the island as well.
Okay.
Being a Dutchie, we know about hearing protection more than any country in the world.
Yeah.
So my idea was to raise awareness from a place where the music business is well, the whole world is watching to Ibiza now at the moment. And I found that it was a great place to start raising awareness, but also involve the music industry to make a statement.
Okay, and just a few steps back, because you passed it pretty quick, but I think not a lot of people know what tinnitus actually is.
Right.
Can you explain what it is and how, because you've had it for 7 years now, or
17.
17? Okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell what happened and what it is?
Well, tinnitus is a form of hearing damage, or it's a symptom that pops up in the auditory system. It doesn't necessarily have to be music or sound induced. It can also be stress, drug-related, trauma to the ear. It's a really complex thing where it's not really a cure for as well. What people can experience is a high resonating beep, for example, hum, a zoom, a buzz. But most of the people who will probably watch here, who like to go go to events, they are aware with the high beep when they wake up in the morning, when they're not using hearing protection after they've been going out.
Yeah.
So that's a tinnitus.
So that's like a sound you hear all day long.
I go to bed with it and I wake up with it. Yes.
Yeah, and that's something that is happening in your brains. Like, is something? Is there something that's in your ear that got broken because of it, or did it happen in the brain?
In my case, I also have hearing damage, which doesn't have to be at the same time. You can have hearing damage without tinnitus. You can have tinnitus without hearing damage.
Yeah, it's two separate things, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yet it's all happening within the inner ear, and it's connected to the brain to get sounds. So, what is a tinnitus? We still don't 100% know. There's multiple, a lot of plausible ideas and theories about it, but there's just not one way where they say, oh, it's this. That's why it's also untreatable so far. There's a lot of alternative things that you can try. In my case, what I've tried didn't work. But one of the things that can happen, and what's in my case, is that within the inner ear, which is not bigger than the top of your pinky, you have really small hair cells into a fluid, in a sort of like a snail cone. and you have to see it as wind who's going over the grains in the fields. You see the winds coming, and basically sound is nothing more than a push of air through the space where it got picked up by your ear, goes into your eardrum. There's a little small mechanic structure there, and with that movement it gets into the inner ear. And these hair cells, they filter the music onto different frequencies. And in my case, I have broken hair cells, which in one theory is that they give off a bad sound, like a broken error. Basically, it's sort of an error.
Yeah. So that's something you have to live with all day long. Like you mentioned, you wake up with it and you go to bed with it. So it's a constant beep, something like that.
Yeah, around the 10,000 kilohertz is mine. So that's a really high, crispy one.
And isn't it like, doesn't it work like you get used to it?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely. Yeah, I think acceptance of the fact is a super important part of dealing with this. Obviously, I'm in a way bothered about it, especially in the beginning, because then you're like, oh shit, is this ever going away? I'm now 17 years further, and I know it's there, it's part of me, and I made a change to do something good with it. So as I said to you on the phone the other day as well, I did a meditation a few months ago, and I was actually grateful for having it. So because it brought me a lot of good stuff too. Yeah. But yeah, still to have it, it's not fun, and it is 100% preventable if you want to enjoy music with it with hearing protection.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so interesting to have a talk about this, because I've never had a talk about hearing protection before. I did use it myself when I was still playing every week. I think I was pretty early on it. Like I think I've been using it for definitely 10 years now.
Okay, good.
And I still remember that at that time when I bought I had the custom-made ones, the silicone ones.
Yeah.
And I still remember when I was using them, like every time I went out or every time when I was playing, people came to me. It's like, what's that in your ears? They didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And that's just 10 years ago. It's not that long.
No, we're far away from having the big wave where everybody is starting to change behavior. And we as Dutchies are definitely more informed. Government is behind it. There's multiple campaigns. Big news sites are writing about it. So we talk about it more in the Netherlands, where in the rest of Europe,
no one really cares.
We have the same ears, so the problems are growing. According to the World Health Organization, there's more than 350 million people suffering from tinnitus. And that's growing because more people are gonna go to festivals, but also the earbuds are just not a good thing for the ears.
I think if you have a look at how many people these days walk on the streets using the AirPods, using these things, using whatever they have, but a lot of people are having headphones on a regular basis right now. Yeah,
and it's all about your exposure time. It's called safe exposure time, and there's a calculation where if you are, for example, on 85 decibels, you have around 8 hours to be safe within, for your ears to be safe. If you add 3 decibels, the time will be half. So on 88, you only have 4. If you go on 100 decibels, it's only 15 minutes. And in most of the places where music is played, this goes way above 100, especially here on Ibiza, where there's just no rules, no limits. So they crank it up as far as they can. Yeah. Unnecessary, my point of view. But.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the big questions. Like, of course, you can prevent it by using ear protection, but what about taking the problem at its core and just lowering the volume in clubs or festivals?
Yeah, yeah, it's a big culture change what we have to go through, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Me neither.
I'm pro loud music, but I'm also pro protection, and especially with the electronic music, you know, you want to feel that bass. We're all made of water for 60%, I think. So we resonate on it. So the louder it is, the better we automatically feel too.
Especially with dance music, you know, that's something you need to feel.
Yeah, well, rockers say the same, you know. It's like rock concerts are super loud also. But what you see is from the old rock bands from back in the days, you know, 60s, 70s. Most of these guys are walking around with problems. They've been before this new movement of electronic music, but yeah, we just start learning about the protection part of this this situation, and our ears don't get rest anymore. You know, it's not only festivals, not only the earbuds, but it's, you know, cars, trains, motorcycles, scooters. Everything is noise, and you go to bed, but your ears don't.
Yeah, because
we need more rest.
And that's something that's interesting to point out as well, because you mentioned it, and I know my father has done the same thing. When you're driving a motorcycle, or in my case a scooter, you're using a helmet, but you still have like this high resonated noise sound constantly passing your ear. And that's killing as well, right?
That made my tinnitus even worse.
Yeah.
I've always been super keen on using the right hearing protection. I was, I think, 18. So that's 14 years ago when I started to wear custom. Before I was doing just the foam earplugs. But I never thought about the wind in my helmet. And that definitely gave an extra push on something that was already broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's too.
So if you drive a motorcycle, also use hearing protection.
Yeah, and you already mentioned like the foam ones and the custom ones. What's the big difference in those two things?
Well, what I noticed is that a lot of people, as soon as you start talking about earplugs, I don't like it, you know, they're uncomfortable. And I say, okay, but which type of hearing protection are you thinking about? Because most of the people just think like this yellow or orange big foam plugs are earplugs, which they are. However, they are more made for construction. It's a cheap solution, which has also been given out by a lot of clubs to their personnel, but they end up in not wearing it because they cannot understand what people are saying at the bar for example.
Yeah, because it feels like you're literally closing off your ears, right?
That's all you do. You can just stand with your fingers in your ear at a concert or at a
same effect
at a club. Yeah. So the biggest difference with the custom ones is that they're tailor-made to your ears. It's done with soft medical grade silicone. At least where I work with ACS Custom here in Spain, we only use soft medical grade, which doesn't irritate. It's highly comfortable. So also when you speak or when you chew, which some people do too.
Because that's also something not a lot of people think about. But your jaws are actually connected to your hearing, right? Yeah,
it's constantly moving. So, but within this silicone, there's a small little filter. So instead of blocking the sound out with like two fingers in your ear, you will make a seal for the sound to pass through a little filter. And we have 6 different filters out of ACS to use with, and one even for shooting also that closes down as soon as there's a louder dB coming in. And it makes the music sounds the same or even better because you don't have this harmonic distortion what you also have in the club. It's comfortable, but conversations are easier. Also, if you see two people standing in the club talking with each other and they have earplugs, no problem. The other ones are like, wah, 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 you know, shouting in each other's ears. So the biggest thing is there's the 3 misconceptions basically, that it's uncomfortable, you cannot hear the music well, or you cannot have conversations, which is just totally bullshit.
I actually noticed the exact same thing when I was using hearing for the first time earproofs. When I went out, so not playing but just went out, I actually started noticing that I got to hear the conversations 2 meters away from me. And I was like, I can hear what people are saying, while normally in a club you're shouting and it's just hectic, and you wake up the next day with a sore throat and everything hurts. Wow.
Ears buzzing.
Yeah, the only negative effect I really got from it is that because you wear them, you start to talk lower in volume because you can hear your own voice.
Yeah.
So in a club, you feel like you're shouting, but no one's hearing you.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have, especially when they just start wearing hearing protection. They'll be like, oh, they go lower because it's. If you try it now, if you put in your ears. You will close off your ears, and that will bring up the lower volume, the low frequencies.
Yeah, and that's something that was really interesting to me. That you think like it's gonna stop, it's gonna make you hear less, but it's actually gonna make you hear more when you start wearing them.
I would say.
And better, yeah, exactly, because it filters out all the reverbs that go around in the room and all the noises that go around. Yeah, all the rumors actually, like all the, is that the right word? Rumors, like all the sound in the environment.
Yeah, harmonic distortion, or as you say, reverbs, or yeah.
So, from your side, like being an owner of a company which sells those things, what would be your main tip to someone talking about hearing protection?
Well, if you love music, or if you are a sound engineer, or you want to become a DJ, you have to be aware that your ears are your number one tools. Mm-hmm. You can buy the best Pioneer CDJs. You can merge yourself into Ableton and get a whole studio up. But if you have a loss of frequencies, which is hearing damage or tinnitus, and you're not able to mix flat anymore, then there's something wrong with your biggest, most important tool, which is your ear.
Yeah.
So if you're serious about sound in your music, you have to start thinking within yourself first, because it doesn't only stop with hearing damage or tinnitus. There's a big mental part behind it too, where a lot of people or a lot of artists that I know and clients, they go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
When they start to like, oh, really, I have this? And then they're gonna go to an ENT, a KNO arts, where they've basically been told, like, you have to learn to live with it.
Yeah.
So then the question,
because what's the thing that's gonna drive you crazy? Because have okay, I have tinnitus. What now?
Yeah. Well, I think for a lot of people it is the part that they have something they cannot touch, they cannot see, there's no pill, there's no solution, and it's going to be forever.
Yeah.
This idea to be fully out of control, but with a symptom that, well, that's for everybody. Everybody's the observer of their own tinnitus or hearing damage, obviously. But a lot of people just feel hopeless, like what to do. People try to find a solution, and that brings stress, anxiety, depression, restlessness, and problems with sleeping. A lot of what you hear is that people sleep with ventilators on, or they have like some noise around just to be excluded from the sound.
Yeah.
And there's also people who actually take their lives just because they can't live with it.
Yeah, I've heard of that before. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's super sad.
But because it's something like it's there all day long, so like you said, you're not in control of it. You there is no option to put it out or to make it lower or to make it go away. And like hearing that beep all day long will start to frustrate you on the long term.
In my case, I'm lucky enough to have it only when there's no sound around me. Mm-hmm. It fluctuates. If I drink more alcohol, for example, if I didn't drink enough water, if I've been doing other stuff, then I will notice in the night when I go to bed that my tinnitus is higher, or in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm doing this call now with earbuds, but I hardly use these earbuds anymore either because it's affecting my tinnitus. But for some people, the sound is so loud that if they walk on the street, even with surrounding noise, that they still hear the beat or the zoom, and that can drive people insane.
Yeah.
And I understand why.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but there's a big thing within accepting that you have it, and from the moment that people start to notice that, hey, there's something wrong, up to the point where there's a form of acceptance, like, hey, okay, this is what it is, this I can do with it. There's months in the middle, and it's within these months where people are suffering from it.
Yeah.
And
I can imagine.
Yeah, and our brains are smart enough, there's if you see consciousness as what we experience is only the tip of the iceberg, basically. This underneath the subconscious is doing so many more things, and I believe that after acceptance you can also work with exclusion. So if you're doing NLP, right? So where focus goes, energy flows. And I believe that there's definitely some work that can help with this, to focus on other stuff instead of only thinking about is that beep again there? Is it still there? Is it still there? Because then if it becomes your focus, it starts to affect your life too.
Yeah. And like you mentioned in the call last week, like it starts to drain your energy as well, because where your focus goes, energy flows, as in your energy tank keeps flowing empty on stuff that doesn't matter. You need that energy to work, you need that energy to spend time with your friends and family, but now suddenly it starts to drain into this beep that doesn't bring you anything. So I think that's also one of the things that could be a big downside to it. Like you just become tired, and by doing nothing, like physically.
Yeah, and with all the mental parts behind it, depression and the whole list that I just said.
Yeah.
So to come back on your question, what would people, if they listen, and how to think about hearing protection? The technology is so far, and it's better to wear it. Wear music filtering hearing protection, and be aware of that your ears are your tools, especially if you want to work in this business. Yeah. And it's a delicate organ.
Yeah. So. And maybe to close off, because I can imagine that people think that shit must be expensive. Custom is expensive. Like what kind of prices are we talking about here?
Well, if you can pay 70 euros for a ticket to a festival and spend another 100 euros on drinks, not even talking about the rest of the party supplies, then maybe it's a good investment to think about something that's slightly more expensive, but what's also the best solution in the world.
Yeah, but what's slightly more expensive? Are we talking about $200 or?
No, from ACS Custom, the earplugs go from 165 euros. Yeah, including VAT. We have a few options. If you want to have a collar, if you want to have a neck cord, you can even have your name engraved into it, so you can customize it as much as you like. So, you can use these earplugs if you don't lose them.
I lost them.
yeah, they all do.
Yeah,
a lot of people lose them. But it's a one-time investment, but it's at least good for 4 years. The reason for 4 years is that your body is constantly changing. So after 4 years, you might experience some sound leakage, but doesn't say that your earplugs are not alright anymore. So
I heard that your ears and your nose are the only two organs that keep growing your whole life. Right?
Well, we everything changes. I mean, your skin changes through months.
But it's fun if you have a look at old people. They always have big ears and big noses.
Yeah. That's sort of two outside that you see most that's growing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But it's true, because I after I think about 4 years exactly, I started to notice as well that one side of my earplugs, like left was still working properly and right started to leak. So that will be the right time to reinvest again, right? Because it's not possible to reuse that once.
We always say that it's good to do a new impression. So we have the latest update of your ear. But to readjust old earplugs is hardly done, to be honest.
Can you reuse the filter? Because that's...
Definitely.
Okay, so you can do a remodeling of your ear and then use the same filter.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Never thought about that.
Or keep the filters as a backup, because sometimes you get
might
lost.
Lose them.
Yeah.
I get that.
But we focus on custom now, but there's also plenty of universal options with a filter that, Thunder plugs, for example, they have it from €4. From ACS, we have Paccatos with a little keychain, so you can always bring them. They go for 15 or 17.50. So, depending on your budget and depending on what type of music consumption you absorb, there's a lot of solutions. The most important thing is a filter.
Yeah. And that only comes with the custom ones, right?
No.
Oh, that also is with the other ones.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought the cheaper ones always were just like the foam that like had the same effect as putting your.
Not anymore.
Oh, really? Okay.
No. There's quite some pioneers in this field, and I call them pioneers and not competition, because I'm happy with every earplug I see. If it's our brand or it's from somebody else, I believe that collectively a small group of people are actually fighting for a better well-being around hearing for fellow music lovers. And there's some good products out there that. For small and big budget, you can be able to at least do something. Yeah.
Well, it's great to hear that you are making the best out of your situation and that you are trying to change the world with your experiences.
Like you.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And I'm definitely going to keep an eye on what you're doing. I think it's a great cause. And thanks for all the information. I think a lot of people will find it useful because, like I said, it's not like a sexy topic or something. Not a lot of people to talk about it.
A lot of people don't. Still, also in the industry, there's some artists who just completely ignore the facts, or they have you done an audio test? No, I don't want it.
Yeah,
I don't want to have an audio test. Like, mate, what? Why do you want to know? Yeah, I'm afraid for the results. It's like, so what are you gonna do? Just continue with what you're doing? So, yeah, it's part of the job.
Yeah.
So for me, it's impossible to think in that way because I already have it. But everybody has a choice.
I can imagine. Like maybe starting with a hearing test is the right way to start. Just to see where you're at. I still remember when I did one, I actually scored pretty high. I think that's because I was training my ears every day, like every musician, I think. Mm-hmm. While I thought that it was already damaged because I had been in that kind of environments for 3 days every week for like a few years. Yeah. But somehow that luckily didn't affect my hearing.
It's everybody is different, so why does one person get diabetes or cancer and the other one don't? You know, also our ears. It's really individual, and in my case, I was 15, and I just got trouble straight away. One night out, I remember the night. So, it's not for everybody, but if you are exposed to loud music or loud sounds, and you use a lot of earbuds, you just keep on continuing tiring your ears, then. Yeah, problems are inevitable.
I think it's the world famous "better safe than sorry."
Yeah,
sentence.
Use protection.
Yes, exactly. We all. Yeah, exactly. Well, again, I want to thank you for your time and for taking the opportunity to spread your knowledge and your experiences. I think it's a great cause, and I wish you all the best with the platform.
Thank you. And if people have questions, you can DM me on Joost. This Ibiza Loves Ears, Facebook, Instagram. This is a big part of helping the community, so questions are always good. And if you want, we can also throw in some kind of discount deal. I don't know if that's one of the things you normally do.
Yeah, but, sure. Why not?
what we can do is make a code, and then people purchase a product that they get a 10% discount.
Perfect. Why not?
Yeah.
Send me the link and I'll put it in the description for everyone to find.
Cool.
Okay, thanks, man.
Thank you for the time, man.
No problem.